everybody, and welcome back to Never Seen It. My name is Trent. That is Betsy over there. You are listening to a podcast about movies that we haven't seen yet. And Betsy, we're here to talk about one of those movies.
You gonna let me talk? You pointed at me and then you didn't let me introduce myself.
That's how we do it when I host these shows sometimes, because I like to throw things out of nowhere. Anyway, today we're talking about a movie from 1976. Because we are continuing on with our 5th annual Decade series. It's one of our favorite series that we do every single year, where this year we're hopping from 1966 to 76, next week is 86, all the way to present day at the end of this series. Today, Betsy, we're going to be covering a movie from 1976. What are we covering?
Well, as we mentioned at the end of the last episode, this was a curious challenge because if you recall, last year, we did a bunch of movies from 1976. We talked about Taxi Driver. We talked about Marathon Man.
Yeah, we did
Logan's Run.
We did it in a way that was kind of surreptitious as to the reasoning why we were doing a bunch of 1976 movies. The actual reason why is because we're in the process of doing research to be a guest on another podcast. We were both featured on the Revisionist Almanac podcast last year that covered the 1976 Oscar year. And as a part of that, we wanted to cover a bunch of those movies and actually have some conversations. But also, we watched a whole lot of other movies that we didn't actually cover for this podcast from that year.
Yeah, I watched something like 39 movies. I don't think you watched nearly that many, but you did get about 20 under your belt.
I watched a good chunk of them, all of the ones that were, significant.
So that means we've already covered a lot of ground. And of course, our rule for this podcast is the movie has to be new to one of us, which proved a challenge for 1976, given all of this information. But there was one when we were doing our research for the show and deciding what we wanted to watch, what we wanted to include, that we didn't end up watching. So when we're like, well, crap, we're doing the Decade series, what do? It had to be this movie. And that movie is the Walter Matthau movie, Bad News Bears. This is going to be brand new to both of us. Neither of us has ever seen this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But Trent, there was kind of a reason we didn't include it when we were prepping for that series.
Yeah, and of course, that series is mainly about, hey, these are Oscar caliber movies, Oscar caliber acting performances and whatnot. And in the course of us doing research and, watching trailers and just learning about 1976 movies, we watched a trailer for the original Bad News Bears. And I gotta tell you, I was completely turned off by the content therein.
The trailer just uses some outdated language.
Oh, yeah.
Loudly and upfront, and we were kind of taken aback by that.
Yeah, so we decided, okay, we're not going to watch Bad News Bears for the 1976 Revisionist Almanac episode, but there really wasn't much left for us to choose from that we haven't already seen, so that's why we're covering it today.
Now, all this to say, I know plenty of people who love Bad News Bears. It is a classic comedy. I think just going into it, we have to know it's gonna be a dated comedy.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about this concept back when we watched The Longest Yard, the original Burt Reynolds movie. They made that movie in the 70s, and then it got remade in the mid-2000s. We're kind of talking about the exact same thing here, where it's a 1970s movie that got remade in the mid-2000s that maybe took out some of the really objectionable things, but kept a lot of the humor. Now, obviously, we're not talking about the remakes. We're talking about the originals. Betsy, what do you know about the original Bad News Bears?
I already mentioned him by name. I know Walter Matthau is the star of this.
Yep.
And he becomes the coach of a kids' baseball team. And I believe it's a co-ed team because the only other person I know in this is Tatum O'Neal. So this is something she made after she won her Oscar. So she was still quite young, but this is when they're trying to bank on her being, an Oscar-winning actress from when she was extremely young.
Okay, I'm kind of shrugging my shoulders here because I don't know who that is.
None of these words make any sense to you.
Betsy, before we sat down here, I have to make a confession. Before we sat down here, I was convinced that this movie was a football movie and not a baseball movie.
I wonder if you're confusing it with Little Giants, that movie
Maybe.
from the 90s, where it's kind of the same thing. It's a ragtag
But you know what?
team.
You say Little Giants, and I think that's a baseball movie.
It's not.
I mean, it's another movie I haven't seen, obviously, but
that one's a football movie. This one is about baseball.
yes, fine. But I know, I mean, besides what you just said about it being, starring Walter Matthau and a bunch of kids, I assume it's going to be kind of in the same vein as A League of Their Own, where the manager of the team is a fucking drunk and he's yelling at the kids, and there's humor that comes along with that. And by the end of the movie, they're going to win the championship and they're all going to be closer because of it. I don't think it's going to be one of those inspirational type sports movies. I really hope it's not. But besides that, Betsy, I don't know anything else about this movie. I didn't even know it was a baseball movie until now. So let's go and watch the original Bad News Bears from 1976. We'll be right back. And that was the 1976 movie, The Bad News Bears. Not Bad News Bears, that's the remake. I got it wrong in the intro. I apologize. But Betsy, what did you think of that one?
So given our apprehension during the introduction and the fact that as the movie started, I wasn't quite so sure because I have all these predisposed ideas of what I think this movie is going to be.
Yeah.
By the end, I enjoyed the movie.
I'm in the same camp as you. I was very apprehensive. I thought this was going to be, I didn't think it was going to be covered in a whole bunch of slurs and whatnot, and it's not. It's there. It's only one kid who is doing it, and by the end of the movie, they get over it all, and that's fine. But yeah, early on in the movie, I wasn't all the way bought in because they don't really explain a whole lot. They just have to get him in the manager role and then we're off to the races, as it were. But by the end of the movie, I'm completely bought into this.
I would say my biggest problem with it was the structure of the script. There's just not a whole lot here. So we are just sort of hurled into the movie and moving very quickly through the season without a lot of scenes where the team is like bonding, where they're getting better. We don't have a lot of training montages.
You don't get anything outside of the baseball field, and I think the movie would have been better if they spent more time with the kids being kids and not just on the baseball field. The only thing you really get is the relationship between Walter Matthau and the girl.
And even that doesn't show up until halfway through the movie.
Right.
So it is far from a perfect movie. Far from it. As we mentioned, it's full of a lot of dated things. We're using racial slurs. Someone's casually using the F slur. There's people throwing things at children and giving them beer. Like somebody hits a child in front of a whole lot of people.
But you know what, Betsy? That one right there that you just mentioned, that is actually paid off here because there are consequences for that coach doing that.
I was just going to say, the one thing about that moment is it is treated with the gravity it deserves. Because this guy is coaching his own son, goes out to the pitcher's mound, slaps him in front of everybody. There's two teams plus everybody there to watch, all the other parents. And it is dead silent. Everybody is judging this guy in this moment. And then there are consequences. That kid says, fuck you. If you're going to treat me like this, I'm not going to play.
Yeah, in the context of what just happened here, too. These two kids, the fat kid and the pitcher kid, they're beefing. They're throwing up the middle fingers and they're trash talking from the mound and shit like that. That whole sequence that you're talking about with the father and the pitcher all happens after we just witnessed these two kids beefing. And you would think that the pitcher kid is going to follow through on his threats and he wants to get him out, he wants to strike him out, whatever. It becomes really real in this moment where Not only does he let the kids score in an inside the park home run style, after that happens, he goes over to his dad, drops the ball at his feet, and he leaves the park with his mom.
But before that, he's literally making it so no one can stop that kid. He is
Yeah.
holding onto that ball, and it will have to be wrestled away from him. He makes a decision in that moment. I don't need this. I do not need to be berated and beaten by my father for his dreams, because that's usually what we see in movies like this, is the parents pushing the kids. And the kids might want to participate, but the parents want it more. And we do get it with that coach, the guy who coaches the Yankees. He's such a dick the whole movie, where we don't see a lot of it with him and the team, but how he interacts with the other players of the other teams.
Yeah, it's really at this moment here where the Walter Matthau character, he decides, you know what? We're all taking this way too seriously here. These are all kids. Everybody needs to have a good time. Everybody needs a chance to actually participate and contribute to the team winning or losing, come what may. And I think if I'm taking anything out of this movie, it is that moment right there. Don't take this too seriously, guys. Whether you're the parent of the kid on the team or the coach of the team or even a player on the team, this is just fun.
But getting there takes a while, because at the beginning of the movie, Walter Matthau is there very begrudgingly. He needs the money. We don't know why he needs the money. We don't know how he knows this other guy.
We don't get any of his backstory whatsoever, other than he has some stories about spring training, and his claim to fame is that he struck out Ted Williams like twice.
But we have extremely little information as to who he was before and why he is here now. They give you a little bit at the beginning, but that's it. And when we first meet him, he's having like an 8 o'clock in the morning Boilermaker in his car. That's what he's doing. And he doesn't care. So you mentioned in the intro A League of Their Own. There's definitely a correlation there. He does not care about being these kids' coach, this manager. He is just there to get his paycheck. But like most people who care, or at least cared about something like baseball, he also can't sit there and watch it be played badly.
It gets into his blood. And here's the deal. If I have a problem with this movie, is I don't really get what triggers him to care. Because at the end of the first game, or it might have been even the second game, I cannot remember where this happens, but they're losing really badly. And the kid who likens himself to be the next Jackie Robinson is really bummed out, and he goes and climbs a tree, takes his entire uniform off, and he's embarrassed by the fact that, you know what, we stunk up the joint, we're terrible, I don't deserve to wear that uniform. Walter Matthau goes up there after him and says, you know what, I thought you knew. Jackie Robinson, when he was your age and he was starting out in Little League, he had, I don't know how many fucking errors that he had in his first season.
He played terrible.
Yeah. It's this information that is inspiring this kid that you can, like, if you think that you're bad now, look how bad Jackie Robinson was at your age.
And thank goodness for all of us, he didn't give up like you're trying to do right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a weird shift that happens where Walter Matthau suddenly cares about these kids. He suddenly cares that they get better. And you do expect something like that in a movie like this, where we're a ragtag team. We've got to do what it takes to put the team together and get better.
That all being said, I still do not get what was the trigger. Was there a single moment, or was it what you're saying, where you just can't bear to watch these kids just fuck up all the time?
I think it's the latter. I think he just deep down does love baseball. You don't pursue it professionally, even though he never made it to the majors. He played minor league ball. He played enough baseball to care about baseball. And he lights up the few times he has an opportunity to talk about the good old days and his glory days.
Yeah.
So when you see these kids being absolutely miserable, and then he finds out that the city councilman or whatever he is going to just completely shut down the team, then he suddenly decides, you know what? No, I'm going to actually put in an effort. I'm going to try to make these kids into a team, and we're going to do things to make them improve. But then he goes the other way when we get to the championship. Somehow they make it through this season very quick. It's just a montage where we just fly by all of a sudden they start winning.
Yeah,
we
and
don't get a lot of context for it.
There's also, in the previous game, he tells the ringer kid, the punk kid, hey, go out there and we really need you because we want to get to the championship, because I believe that the kids all want to win the championship. But in reality, all the kids want to do is play ball.
But that's what I'm saying. He goes from I don't care to let's make them better to make this kid do all the work because he's the best player on the team.
Yeah, we got to win at all costs to, okay, let's not take this too seriously.
Yeah.
There's a big roller coaster happening with his motivations here. And I think that is a really good part of his character. I don't think it's honestly a problem with the script in that portion of the movie. What I don't like is the fact that they don't really tell the audience why these things are happening. You can interpret it that way. I mean, that's how I interpret it anyway, where he sees what happens with the son and the father on the other team, and to kind of save face for the other team because they don't have any other star players over there. To save face for everybody, he even mixes up the roster on his own team and throws, the 6-year-old out there.
The worst player on the team, arguably.
Right,
and
but
everybody
you know
knows
what?
it, including him.
He gets a fucking out. He's treated as a hero after that. That's amazing. And I say all the time that I do not like inspirational sports movies, and this is not one of those, because they don't really treat it like that. These kids are coming together as a team, even though they fight all the time. They have problems with this ringer coming in. They have problems with the girl coming in, not because she's a girl, but because she's showing everybody else up.
Yeah, I'm actually okay with them not winning at the end of this movie because you're right. Sometimes it becomes too big a leap. When we've watched this team, which they're terrible. They are absolutely the worst team I think I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
The thing I wrote in my notes was they are all Smalls. So like if you've ever seen The Sandlot, the way Smalls plays at the beginning, he is awful. He is an awful player. And in this movie, they are all just terrible baseball players.
Here's the deal about that movie. He doesn't even know the rules of the game. These kids actually know baseball to a point. They don't know some things, and they demonstrate it in the movie, and I kind of appreciate that because it allows them to learn.
And they do get better, and they do come together as a team. But the thing that makes the Bad News Bears fun is they are a bunch of hoodlums and scrappy kids who will fight. Like the one kid fought the entire 7th grade.
Sure.
And at the end of the movie, he's the one that says, take your trophy and your apology and just shove it up your ass.
Yeah.
And they all just celebrate on their own, even though they lost. It's in the spirit of what they're trying to do here. If they had won at the end, miraculously, that would have been weird. If the other team had just decided to revolt, like openly revolt against their piece of shit coach and let the other team win, that would have been maybe kind of fun. But it's not representative of them winning. They didn't win because they won as a team.
It's not in the spirit of what they're trying to do here.
Yeah. But once in a while, it's nice to have these movies where it looks like they're going to win, and they don't.
Yeah,
they just don't win.
It's a little messy, and I kind of appreciate that. So, all right, I think that's a good enough place for us to take a short break here. We're going to compose ourselves and talk a whole lot more about the Bad News Bears.
What's the matter, Billy? You look bored just sitting there clicking that pen.
Well, Becky, I've already listened to this week's episode of Never Seen It, and there's nothing left for me to do. Guess I'll just sit here and click this pen until next Sunday.
Wait, Billy, what if I told you that the Never Seen It crew puts out 4 other shows every month?
4 shows? How do I get those?
It's easy. Just go to patreon.com/neverseenitpod, and for $5 per month, you get access to all their extra content.
Wow, that sounds a whole lot better than clicking this pen.
It sure does, Billy. It sure does.
So the one thing that I knew going into this was the movie was starring Walter Matthau. What do you think about his performance here? Because by the time this movie came out, he was already a big star in Hollywood. People knew who Walter Matthau was.
Oh, yeah, he had an Academy Award. He had 2 other nominations. He was very, very famous. I don't think he's doing anything extraordinary in this because he's being Walter Matthau.
He's being a grumpy old man.
Yes, he had a reputation for playing these kinds of characters. Though, I don't know at this point in his career if he had that reputation. Because up to this point, apart from playing half of The Odd Couple, where he's sort of a slob, most of the movies I have seen him in those early 60s and 70s things, he's pretty put together. He's a guy in the suit. It's not until the 90s that you and I really knew Walter Matthau as a grumpy old man, but he's basically playing the same guy. He drinks too much beer. He's not interested in hanging out with these kids. When he gives the kids the uniforms, he leaves them to do his job while he goes and gets them. And then they're all hanging out by the pool and makes the kid make him a mixed drink.
I actually really liked that scene, just that image of all the kids surrounding him and he's holding this martini.
And we do also get some emotion from him. I can tell he cares. There's enough moments in the movie that demonstrate he cares about these kids and that he does have a change within him to want to actually help them succeed, but also that he shouldn't push them so far as to ruin them. And they do that by including Tatum O'Neal. I didn't know how she got involved because, as I said, she doesn't show up till halfway through the movie. He basically was her stepfather. They were never legally married. Her mom and him were together.
Yeah, for a while, he was a, baseball man. She was interested in sports, and he was providing the fatherly kind of guidance that any guy would in that moment. And they had some kind of connection there that they're alluding to here. There is a tenderness here between them that is very present when they first meet up for the first time in the movie. It's there in the middle of the movie, and it's there at the very end of the movie. And you can tell that he has some kind of internal struggles that he's dealing with, especially when they have it out, when he's trying to have her put her elbow in the ice. And he's kind of saying things without saying it when he's talking about the fact that, you know what, I'm a bum. I don't want to have anything to do with you outside of this baseball thing. You and your mother don't get along and blah, blah, blah. She is trying to get things to happen here, not necessarily between him and her mother, but between him and her.
And you can tell, he says, I'm not the marrying kind, which is why he never ended up being her stepfather. But clearly he cares about this girl. And he has a nice relationship with her. And she is trying to actually say, hey, you've been gone for 2 years. Why don't we try being friends again? Because I liked having you in my life.
Right.
And he's pushing her away. There's the scene where they both kind of scream at each other. She walks off, and as she's walking away, she's crying, and he's sitting there on the bench and he's crying.
Right. They don't want to hurt each other.
But he also doesn't want to commit to being in her life. He is more committed to being a drunk and a bum.
Yeah, he doesn't want anything permanent. And, I think it's just something that a lot of, you could call them failed, sports people, these guys who used to travel around the country, travel around the region, they never really put down any kind of roots. They're always on the move. So it makes sense that you don't necessarily want to create these permanent connections with people because maybe you think you're going to disappoint them. Maybe you think that they're not going to miss you when you're gone, and all sorts of different emotions that go through your brain that you're not really expecting to come out of a Walter Matthau type.
And I feel like that's the reason the next day at the final game, he is just like, everyone just have fun. He completely changes his tune. My problem, though, is the getting from all of these different points and the way he's jumping back and forth. It just doesn't develop quickly enough for me, or maybe it develops too quickly is more the problem. It develops too quickly. We don't spend enough time elaborating on why he's feeling these feelings.
Right, because he's going from yelling at these kids and berating them and calling them names to him being, again, very tender, very understanding, and just being, you know what? Fuck it. Let's all have fun.
And then at the end, giving them all beer, saying, you did good, kids. You did good.
Yeah, what do you think? I don't have any champagne to give him. You're not paying me that much. He's got some really great lines. You should talk about the line that he made to that guy right before that. I didn't write it down.
Yeah, he has that moment where he decides he's going to put all the other like bench players onto the field. Lupus and the two kids who don't speak any English and all the nerdy kid who just is the statistician. He puts them all out on the field. And the guy who's paying him to be on this team says, "Don't you want to win? What are you doing?
We're so close.
We're so close." And Walter Matthau tells him something to the effect of, "You better shut up before I shave off half your mustache and shove it up your left nostril." That is the best line in the movie. Is the thing that made us laugh the loudest and the longest. But that's another problem I have with this movie, Trent. Is this supposed to be a comedy? Because there's just not a lot of moments I found myself laughing out loud like that.
You know, now that you say that, I have to really question my own, I don't know, sense of humor or even just how they're portraying the kids in the movie. You don't necessarily want to laugh at the kids, and there's some moments here that are maybe played for laughs that I wasn't laughing at, because it's the whole trope about, you know, the kids that swear and the kids that drink and the kids that act like adults and shit like that, but they don't go that far. They could have absolutely had some of these kids acting more like adults. I mean, the kid that acts the most like an adult is the girl, because she just throws things back in the adults' faces. But I think when I'm looking back on the entirety of the movie, I appreciate how the kids are just kids.
I think I appreciate it more as, I guess, a feel good, I don't know what other phrase to use, kind of movie. Because
I get that.
by the end, like when he sends Lupus out onto the field, okay, first of all, the fact the kid's name is Lupus is bizarre. But he says, "You're going to go out there," and he's the last one on the bench, and he says, "I want to win, and I know we're not going to win if you put me out there."
Yeah.
And it's like, aw, the cute little boy who's been picked on and bullied the whole movie.
Right, we have the scene earlier on where the kids from the other team are bullying him and they put shit into his cap and put it on his head.
But then the other kid defends him.
Right.
And he speaks up for the first time in the movie. He says, "Thanks, nobody's ever done that for me before."
Exactly. And then he finally gets an opportunity to contribute to the team, and he nails it.
He catches the ball, he gets the out, and everybody celebrates him.
You also see his parents in the crowd, and they're happy.
It was a really cute moment, and I loved that. Or even the statistician kid. He got a walk. He hasn't hit anything the entire season, and he still didn't, but he clipped the ball just a tiny bit, and that was enough to give him the confidence to just stand there. Just stand there and get on the base. And then little Miguel, who's so tiny, his strike zone is invisible.
Yeah.
You know, these little moments at the end where they all get on the base, I'm cheering for the whole team. I'm so excited.
Yeah, at that moment, you have the opportunity here to either get a grand slam to, I think it was going to tie the game or go up by 1 or something.
It would have put them 1 behind because I think they were behind by 5, and that would have gotten them 4 runs.
Either way, they have the opportunity to get a grand slam with their star player. But the coach on the other team is saying, "Hey, just go ahead and walk the star player. We can afford 1 run as opposed to, 4. So Walter Matthau instead says, "You know what? Just fucking go after it. Just chase that ball, hit it, and you can try to fucking run the bases if you can." And he tries and he fails. I think that is the best moment in the movie because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if he's going to make it all the way around. You don't know if he's going to stop at third. You don't know if he's going to score or be out or whatever.
And they lose the game because of it, because they had 2 outs and they had bases loaded and they were still down by 1 even if they score here.
Yeah, they just were a little bit too gung-ho about going for the win or at least going for the tie or whatever. That, you know what? You're invested. You are cheering for this team. You want them to do whatever. You want them to go for it.
You also kind of cheer when they tell the other team, especially because it's Lupus who says it first, "Shove it up your ass," basically.
Yeah.
And what he says is like, "Watch out for us next year" or something.
Right. That's the thing he says. And I think if nothing else, it gives you hope for these kids. It gives you hope for the team. It gives you just hope in general. That they learned something and they started to become a team and they played as a team and they talk shit like a team. That was the moment that I really appreciated the most out of this entire movie. It's just how it ends. It's not a big inspiring moment. If you know anything about baseball, you know it's a risky move to do what they did. And in the end, it doesn't pay off. But you know what? They still had a good time. Nobody had, hurt feelings about what happened. And they can go home with their head held high and just a little bit of a buzz.
Quite literally. Yeah. And they're scrappy. They're a scrappy little team. And even the Yankees who they play say, you know what? We've been giving you shit all season, but you did good out there today.
And they throw it right back in their face.
They throw it right back in
fuck you.
Yeah, so I get it. Overall, I understand why this movie is famous, why it was successful, why people still talk about it, why it got remade.
It's kind of like first of its time kind of a movie, too.
That's the other thing. I was trying to go back to think of other movies like this. And they all came after. And I feel like if you look at baseball movies in general, this is probably one of the first that really kicked off this kind of genre. You certainly would not have gotten The Sandlot without Bad News Bears. You would not have even maybe got Major League in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were growing up, there were tons of movies like this about scrappy little baseball players.
Sure. I saw The Sandlot in the theater. It's one little thing I can brag about. But, all right, Betsy, did you have anything else to really mention about this movie?
Well, the main thing is all of the different kids, all the kid actors. I told you Tatum O'Neal was in this. I knew that about her, and she already won an Academy Award before this movie, and this is when they were trying to utilize her in other ways. And she is good in this. She didn't blow me away or anything, but she's good. But the person I had no idea was in this movie was the other kid who's the star baseball player.
Yeah.
I'm looking at him going, why does he look so familiar?
You have a really distinctive face.
He's got a very distinct face. It's Jackie Earle Haley, which you didn't know that name right away, but
Nope.
I had to look at his filmography because I'm like, I know there's at least something you've seen him in. And he is in Lincoln, the Steven Spielberg movie. He plays the guy who is the vice president of the Confederacy, who goes up on the riverboat and meets with them to negotiate.
Yeah, if you've seen his face in that movie, just look, you'll know us.
Yeah, once you know this information, you're like, oh my God, I had no idea he was a child actor. Because all the things I know him as are as an adult.
Sure.
He was in Watchmen, the early 2000s version. He played Rorschach in that, and that was kind of his big comeback. But then, when they rebooted Nightmare on Elm Street, he played Freddy Krueger in that more modern one from the 2010s.
Okay.
So he is definitely somebody I know. He's done a lot of TV, a lot of movies. I had no idea, though, that he was a child actor. And as I was kind of scrolling through credits, they made a ton of versions and sequels and spinoffs and things of Bad News Bears. He's in one of the sequels. I saw his name in the sequel and just figured that's because he was in the sequel, not because he was going to show up in this movie.
Wow, okay. See, I don't think I've ever known that there were sequels to this movie. I knew there was a remake in 2005 starring Billy Bob Thornton. But other than that, I had no idea that they continued the franchise.
I also had no idea, but let me just read you some of this. We have The Bad News Bears in Breaking Training. This came out in 77, so that must be the second one. In 78, we have The Bad News Bears Go to Japan.
Okay.
In 1978, we also had Here Come the Tigers, which I don't know if this is somehow related to this, but it's just another one that pops up when I'm looking at this. There was also a TV show from 1979 to 1980. There was a Bad News Bears TV show. So the concept that came out of this movie clearly carried on. It had some social impact. It had some staying power. And then when they did the remake, I remember that being out. And the only person I know who's in it is Billy Bob Thornton, which makes total sense to me.
100%.
I think he is perfect for this kind of role, especially in the early 2000s when he was getting to his own grumpy old man phase.
We actually covered his Bad Santa movie, and the way he is treating that kid in that movie is a perfect fit for a movie like this.
And now having seen this one, I kind of want to watch that.
I do too.
Simply because I feel like with the more modern way of writing screenplays, they maybe would answer a lot of the questions and clear up some of the problems that we have with the original one.
I would hope so. And as I mentioned in the intro, I also hope that they take a whole lot of those other kinds of tropes where, it's the kid who is saying all those slurs about the rest of the people on the team. There's Jewish kids, and there's a black kid, and there's a fat kid, and
But those are not the words he uses.
No, definitely not. And, you would think by 2005, you would have had a more modern sensibility about things. Also, you're in California. There's a whole lot of different types of people who live in California. But anyway, one last thing that I read in the trivia here I thought was really fascinating. The guy who wrote the script, his name is Bill Lancaster, son of Burt Lancaster. He wrote the script intending the Walter Matthau character to be based on his own father, Burt Lancaster, a famously grumpy man, and he based the girl character after himself.
So there's probably some things that are based on real life where maybe his dad helped coach the team or he just played baseball and when his dad attended the games was very belligerent about the whole process.
Who knows?
Dads are famously intense about baseball, especially in these days.
But think about what I was saying about, these ball players traveling around and being absent. Well, you being a very famous actor is going to do the same thing. You are going to be traveling around the world too and being absent from your family.
Yeah, he would have missed out on a lot of stuff with his kids.
And maybe this is his attempt to close the gap there and just deal with whatever issues that he was having with his own father. Who knows? But I think it works.
It would explain the kind of fractured relationship between the main girl and the father figure.
Right.
It's representative of his own feelings.
If you haven't seen your own father for a couple of years, you're going to remember that.
Yeah. And then, of course, Burt Lancaster goes on to make Field of Dreams, another famous dad movie about baseball.
There you go. Full circle. By the way, we actually covered Field of Dreams a couple of years ago. I can't remember.
That was in our first year, I think.
Was
Trent.
it? Oh, God.
Because it was such a big movie. I
it was
needed
a big
you to
movie,
see it.
and I didn't care for it. Go back and listen to that episode. So anyway, that is the end of Bad News Bears, the end of 1970s.
The Bad News Bears.
The Bad News Bears. What did you guys think about this one the first time you saw it? Did you see it when you were a kid, or did you wait until you were an adult to watch it like we did? Send us all your thoughts to neverseenitpod@gmail.com. Just like our old reliable superfan Stephanie did about Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf last week's episode. Stephanie says, hey, hope you guys had a good break. We did. Thank you for asking.
And thank you for already coming back and emailing us. We always appreciate our super fans.
Definitely. She says about Virginia Woolf, this movie is wild. No one is likable, and yet I kind of love it. Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton are fantastic. Their characters are kind of made for each other in a horrible, twisted way. Yeah, that kind of sums it up. So far this summer, we have watched Mandalorian and Grogu and Toy Story 5 in theaters and Hoppers on Disney+. All pretty fun. That's about it, though. We've been pretty busy, so not a lot of time for new movies, unfortunately. Love you guys from Superfan Stephanie.
Trent, have you been hearing about Hoppers?
No.
My understanding is it is one of the sillier, funnier, better movies that Pixar has put out in the last few years. But it just sort of came and went. It didn't get a big push, but everybody I know who has seen it has said you've got to watch Hoppers. It's super fun.
Honestly, I know the name of it. I don't know anything about it. I don't know who's in it. I don't know what the plot's about. I know what a Toy Story 5 is, but by the way, I haven't seen anything past 2, which is kind of par for the course for me. But again, we don't go out of our way to watch kids' movies.
Those are always going to be the ones that are first to go onto the back burner for us.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter the quality. It's just not something that we seek out.
Now, that being said, Coyote vs. Acme comes out pretty soon, which is technically a kid's movie, but, it's something that we grew up with, so I have fewer qualms about waiting. I think it's our civic duty to go see that in the theater.
It is a movie for our generation and older, but it's something that you would watch with children.
Absolutely. I don't anticipate we're going to have any in our presence when we go, though. We'll just go by ourselves.
No, of course not. Anyway, thank you again, Stephanie, for that email. But Betsy, you've got something to read about Virginia Woolf, too.
Yes, we got some comments from Addie Supreme over on Blue Sky about this movie. She said, my girlfriend once gave me a super strong edible and sat down to watch this movie with me. Got about 20 minutes in and turned it off in tears. Greened out, woke up several hours later, and the first thing I saw when I opened my phone was a text note that said, get a fucking job.
Now, I would like to ask, because number one, we are not those who imbibe such substances, and good on you if you do, we're not judging. But is greened out really a term for that? I have no idea.
I mean, I understand it in the context,
I
certainly.
do too, but I've never heard that before today.
But again, this is an insane movie to watch when you have
yeah.
imbibed in some kind of substance like that.
Absolutely. And like, you kind of feel the animosity coming through the screen, and you kind of want to, I don't know, retreat back into yourself because you don't want to, I don't know, harsh your buzz.
You feel like they're coming after you personally, probably.
But get a fucking job. Are you talking to yourself, or are you talking to the people on the screen? I would like to know.
Or the person who showed you the movie. In any case, it's all an odd thing to say.
Yeah.
But there's more to this comment. Needless to say, I watched it sober the next time and had a much better experience.
Yeah.
My fan theory is that George and Martha are Hellraiser-esque demons that exist to extract human suffering from house guests.
They're Cenobites.
They're Cenobites. Everything they do seems engineered to cause as much strife as humanly possible, and it's delightful to watch.
That is a fantastic theory.
And of course, you and I have now seen Hellraiser, so we get this reference.
Yeah. That is fantastic. Thank you for that, I guess, message on Blue Sky. And again, by the way, if you haven't already heard us talk about it in the episode or on our other social media platforms, our Twitter account is fucking gone. Unfortunately, not by our own doing. The account still exists. It got taken over by some asshole out there, and it is no longer in our possession.
And we have tried and failed at getting it back.
Yes. So, number one, if you know anybody at Twitter who can help us out, message us on the site. Number two, just go follow us on Blue Sky, because that platform is much, much better. And to be honest, if we were to get access to our Twitter account again, we would probably just shut it down.
After this experience, it feels necessary.
Yeah.
We just don't want it out there in other people's hands and having people get spammed. That's the thing you hate when you get hacked.
And so far, we haven't seen anybody out there getting messaged by that account or anything. But again, it's still early on in the process. I don't know if we're ever going to get it back, but it is what it is.
But Blue Sky, follow us over there.
Follow us on Blue Sky. Instagram is still a thing. And if you want to consume our content via still video, you can go to YouTube and subscribe over there. But with that, I'm going to call this an episode. Next week is going to be 1986. Betsy, what are we going to be covering for the next decade?
This is actually going to be a follow-up to something we did on Patreon last year, in our first year of Patreon.
I think it was 2 years ago.
I think it was the last episode we did in our first year of Patreon. On the Wayback Machine, we watched The Hustler. And it just so happens that in 1986, Martin Scorsese made a sequel to The Hustler. So we are going to be watching, for the first time ever, The Color of Money.
A rare Tom Cruise movie, because I looked back at our entire catalog. I think we have only ever covered 4 Tom Cruise movies, and 2 of them were Top Gun movies. So this is going to be a special event. Come back next week for The Color of Money. Until then, my name is Trent.
My name is Betsy.
This has been Never Seen It. See ya, folks.
Bye.